welcome today to Matt's Casual Cooking. We are going to be making homemade English muffin bread. A very easy dish with some patience involved, but it is worth it to see it through. So we'll be going all over all the ingredients and the steps you need to make this wonderful bread that you can reheat in the morning and have with pretty much anything. So let's get to it. Alright, we're going to go ahead and go over the ingredients you're going to need today. And we're going to go over them in steps because it's pretty important to make sure that this comes out really good, and it will. So you are going to need 2 bread pans, and I'll show you those, kind of what they look like if you've never seen one. You're going to need cornmeal. You're going to need some cooking spray. Now for the first bowl for the ingredients, you're going to need 3 cups of flour. You're going to need 2 packets of active dry yeast, and you're going to need a 1/4 teaspoon baking soda. Now for the active dry yeast, you will need to proof that, and you'll just want to read the back of the package on how to do that. And usually once you start it, you'll want to let it sit for about 10 minutes because this will actually activate the yeast before you pour it into the first bowl. Now for the second bowl, this is actually going to be a saucepan. What you're going to do is you're going to add 2 cups milk, 1/2 cup of water, 1 tablespoon of sugar, and 1 teaspoon of salt. And we are going to heat this till it's just warm, about 120 degrees to 130. We're really looking more for a 120 degree area. So you will want a temperature gauge of some kind for this. So, and then for the third bowl, you're going to need 3 cups of flour, and we're just going to set that aside. That's actually going to be mixed into the first bowl once we're done with the liquid portion. So first of all, though, we're going to go ahead and go over the bread pans because we need to sprinkle them with the cornmeal, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so these are the bread pans, and as you can see, they've got kind of taller sides, and they're kind of smaller, obviously, like I said, and this is going to help keep the bread intact and kind of keep it cooking really nice overall, like on all sides. So what you want to do is you just want to take some cooking spray and you just want a nice, you don't want to go crazy, just kind of like a nice layer on it. You get a little bit extra, that's fine. So then what you want to do is you want to take your cornmeal and you want to take a sifter or a little strainer like this that has like some little gaps. Scoop up your cornmeal. Now I'm doing this over a cutting board. You don't have to do it like that. So, and what you want to do is just kind of put it in there, kind of at the bottom, nice and nice layer. You don't need to do too much. Just kind of needs to be kind of like this, just kind of like a thinner layer. And then what you want to do is you want to get the sides as well. If you got a little bit extra down there, that's not really cleaning anything. Don't worry about it. A little extra. That's all right. Got a little extra, just kind of shake it around. And if you want, just kind of dump some of the extra into the other pan. Now you see we got a nice layer here. That's going to help cook the crust once we start cooking it. We'll go ahead and just do this for the second one. And if you need to, if it's not really coming through, just kind of hit it like this. You'll get a lot more coming out. Alright, so this can just go back. Alright, so these are done, and we're just going to set these aside for the time being. Now you will want to keep your cornmeal out and the sifter because we are actually going to coat the top of the bread as soon as we're done here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and heat the milk or the liquid mixture. So what I like to do though is kind of give it like a nice little stir to begin with. So have your bowl ready with the flour and baking soda ready. Kind of just, if you can, create a little, this is a little big, but create like a little cup in there, like a little bowl in the flour for the liquid. And this is going to have the yeast too. You want to put the yeast in here before we put this in. So give it a nice one little stir. Have your thermometer ready. And you don't want to, when you put this in, don't press it against the bottom of the pan. That's going to give you a false reading. You just want to kind of, if you touch the pan and just bring it up a little bit, you can get a better reading as to what it is. Now I've started this on low. If this doesn't get us to our 120, 130 range, I'll turn it up a little bit. But once that's done, we're going to take it off and we're going to pour it into the mixture, and we're going to stir, and we're going to stir it together. Okay, so we're at 120 degrees. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off and pour it into the flour. Now remember, before you do this, make sure you put in the yeast that you proofed. So we're going to go ahead and stir this together. Make sure it comes together nicely so you pretty much don't see any excess flour. It's all kind of been absorbed into it. And if you want, you can use a whisk for this portion. I'm using a wooden spoon. Alright, so now it's kind of clumping up the flour, but kind of what we're looking for. Now it's going to be a little hot, but now what we want to do is we want to take some of the other flour, the rest of the other 3 cups, and we just want to start stirring it in. Kind of gently stir it in. And dump the rest of that. Now what we're looking for is we're just looking for a dough ball, and is really what we're looking for at this point. Alright, so now what we want to do is take the dough, and we're going to, I'm going to go ahead and put it here on a cutting board. We are going to cut it. Trying to really get most of it that you can. we aren't kneading this together, but try to get it, if you can, into a kind of a ball possible. So what we're going to do now, and I actually have a dough cutter for bread, and that's what I'm going to be using today. If not, I mean, you're going to really want to use a nice sharp knife, or you're going to want to use like a metal spatula with a nice sharp edge. So what we're going to do, I'll show you here in just a second. Just kind of cut the dough, kind of scrape it to the side. Very, very sticky. Now what you want to do is, you might have to do this in batches. Take whatever part you can, scoop it. This part is always a little tricky. This stuff is very, very sticky to work with. Put it in your bread pan, and if you have to, kind of push it around so it fills at least the bottom of it. If it's not perfect, we're going to let this sit and rise, so it's actually going to fill in some of the gaps as well. So, okay, so you can have, as you can see, we have the dough in the pans, and we're actually going to let them sit for about 45 minutes in a warm spot to double in size. But also right now what we want to do is we want to take some of that cornmeal, and just like we did with the pan, just kind of shake a little on the top. You don't want to go crazy with it. And spread it around, just get a nice layer on top. Alright, so now we're going to let it sit here, and you want a clean terry cloth or dish towel to actually put over the top of it. So I'm going to go ahead and just put this on top. Now I'm setting this on the stove. Now, so on most stoves there's a warm function. Mine says keep warm, so if you hit it, it's going to ask you the temperature, and I'm just going to keep it at the lowest, right here at 170. I'm just going to hit start, and it's going to do that for about an hour. And what we want to do is we want to set a timer or a reminder. In about 45 minutes, we want to come back and actually look at it and see where it's at. So it should have about doubled in size. So once it doubles in size, we're going to go ahead and put it in the oven. So I'll see you in about 45 minutes. Alright, so as you can see, the 45 minutes are up. Our dough is actually rising up over the bread pans, so it's more than doubled in size. So we're going to cook this now. So you want to turn your oven on to 400 degrees, and we're going to cook it for about 25 minutes or until it's golden brown. Now we want to cook it for at least 25 minutes. And part of the reason is we want the inside to cook. Now, if you're cooking it and you notice like about halfway through that the top is starting to really brown, what you want to do is not necessarily stop, but just take these out, put some aluminum foil over the top of these, and then you want to put it back in, because that will stop the top from really kind of browning, but it will still allow your inside here to cook. And we definitely need that. If not, you're going to get a very, very gooey mess, and that's really not good. So, I've already preheated it. So now that you've got that done, what you want to do. All right. So while the bread is cooking in the oven, once it starts cooking, or you can do this before, once it is rising, go ahead and get out a cooling rack. And you can put either, I'm just putting some wax paper underneath it for when it's done, or you can put like a pan or baking sheet or something, just something to kind of get some of maybe the little crumbs that come down. So yeah, because once they're done, we're going to take them out of the pan, and we're going to put them on top of this rack to cool for about 10 to 15 minutes after they're done. So, all right, well, I will see you then. All right, so as you can see, we are done cooking the bread. I did have to cook mine a little bit more than 25 minutes. It was actually about 35 minutes. The oven just took a little bit longer. And it really depends on your oven temperature outside and inside your house. But as you can see, you got the nice brown outside or crust. It's going to be a little soft. It's not gooey on the inside. It's just kind of soft, and you see we kind of got the holes going just like in an English muffin itself. So if you enjoyed making this recipe, and I know you will, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. And I really appreciate you watching today and enjoying it. And thank you, and have a good rest of your day. Bye.